Hi, everybody. Steve Tarter, another edition of Tartar Sauce. Welcome to a bright summer day, and I don't know if it's officially summer yet. Mike Phalen, the mayor of Peoria Heights, is my guest. Mike, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Steve. Nice to be with an old friend.
Yes, indeed. I was going to say, we go back, I think, well, we both have Journal Star on our resume. You've worked how long at the Journal Star?
Over 40 years. Started
40 years.
when I was in college.
I was going to say when you were a mere baby put in there. And I left there last year. That's kind of a great springboard. But now you've been in politics. How long were you on the county board?
I was on the county board, I think, 20 years. I've served
20
on the
years.
Tri-County Regional Planning Commission. I'm still on the commission for over 20. I was on the regional school board for a while before the county board, and township supervisor, Richmond Township supervisor for 12 years. So a little bit of everything.
You've got a wide range of experiences there, and now, of course, being mayor of Peoria Heights for the last 3 years.
Yes.
This has to be your year of. What do you think? You're being tested or something? I mean, with all that's gone on this year, as
Yeah.
a
few
town
curveballs.
official? Yeah. What kind of walk us through here? How did you had probably a great year lined up, as a lot of folks did. The economy's moving. The Heights has been moving, of course, for years. Great destination point, and then boom, COVID-19. What's the first thing that kind of rocked your world with that?
Well, you seek a lot of information, and there was a lot of information and good people on both sides with difference of opinions, but then we realized this is the real thing, and states began shutting down and cities began shutting down. So we've endured that, and we've tried to be supportive of our citizens and our businesses during this crisis, and it's been difficult, and there's really no playbook to reflect back on or to refer to see how people in the past may have managed this type of similar crisis, and there wasn't a lot to refer to, so it's been challenging.
It's got to be challenging because, and I'm putting myself in the position of anyone who's a decision maker. On one hand, you're getting a business or a restaurant or whatever is saying, "Hey, we got to open. We got to open. We can't just sit here empty." On the other hand, you've got public health. You've got folks who say, "Hey, you can't put my children in danger. You can't put my family in risk." It's really you're right in the middle of that.
Well, the Heights was all about economic development, firing on all cylinders, so that was our, forte. But both my administrator, who's also chief of police, Dustin Sutton, we feel our primary duty is public safety, so we had to really emphasize public safety. So once it became a health hazard, that was our primary focus.
And you told me before we came on here that you really, I think, with your background, having worked in county board and school district and all that, you believe in a chain of command, and this was the setup here at the state level, where the governor was issuing, sort of, I don't know if we call them advisories or directives, but you followed that.
Yeah, and I don't think any leader would have wanted to be in this position at all, this COVID position. And I do believe there has to be a chain of command, and I've been supportive of our governor, and I've been supportive of the president from the federal level. Obviously, as I said, there are good people with differences of opinions, strong opinions on both sides of the issue, but public safety had to be the primary focus. And I know the governor has gotten some criticism, but I've been supportive of him, and I've supported him from the beginning, and continue to do so.
One of the things that, and I think most people watching this or listening to this who are in the area already know this, but the Heights has become really a key destination point, especially with restaurants. You've got a great restaurant row. You've developed a lot of hospitality benefits with all the retail going on there. You're benefited a little bit, like right now, by the outdoor dining, which is now one can do, and we've had some nice weather. You've got a lot of that going on in the Heights.
Yeah, and you mentioned destination, so I would like to say we're certainly a destination for food, but have become a destination for music and the arts, and Poor Brothers has some fantastic concerts. The Betty Jane Bremer Center for the Performing Arts is been a great addition to the Heights. But yes, we are somewhat of an advantage with outdoor dining. And the businesses who are retail and not necessarily in the food business have been very cooperative with restaurants to allow them to expand and add some tables in front of their neighbors. So that's really increased the number of outdoor seating. So business owners have had to improvise, and they've had to figure out, how do we do delivery? How do we do curbside service? How do we add tables outside? So I think one of the good things that have come out of this is business owners have had to think outside the box, so to say.
I know an example of that was I did a little story for WCBU on the restaurants adapting to Mother's Day. And Hugh Higgins over there at the Hearth said normally they're never open on that Sunday for Mother's Day. This year they were, and it was takeout, and they devised all kinds of things. I think a takeout Mother's Day brunch or something like that. So they are improvising, doing things they never did before.
Yeah, and he's a great operator, runs a fantastic restaurant. He's fully engaged in our community. He's a good example of a Heights business person that, since you mentioned him, I just want to call him out and thank him.
Very good. Now, we were talking also about what's going on right up to the minute. Why don't you bring us up to speed? There's going to be a peaceful march on Saturday, is that right?
Yes, so we're sitting here today, Friday, and tomorrow morning there will be a march that's organized by Tanisha Crayson, and the goals and objectives of this march are to have a very safe, peaceful, family-oriented march that will start at the Heights Library and conclude at Tower Park with a prayer service. Both Chief Sutton and I, while not a part of the structure of organizing this, certainly support the goals and objectives of the organizer, and both he and I will be there tomorrow. I'll be walking with Tanisha and some other friends.
Good. And is that open to everybody? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what time was that?
It starts at 10 o'clock at the Peoria Heights Library, and then the walk up to Tower Park, which, just a few blocks.
I was going to say, not too
and
far.
then, we just want to socialize a little bit safely, of course, in Tower Park, and encourage people to stay a little while and visit
Right.
safely again, of course.
Okay. And that's kind of the watchword now. We're kind of coming out, but we're doing it slowly. I mean, that's got to be that, as you said, sort of you're on that sort of weighing both sides, public safety versus business. You really have to kind of be always watching that whole balancing act.
Yeah, it's a fine line, and when you're doing things, certainly we want people to come out to the Heights, but we want it done safely, and tomorrow there could be a lot of people, but we want to make sure that we follow the governor's guidelines as well, and the public safety guidelines.
One of the things I think we should mention with the Heights, because you mentioned it's arts and music, and we know about the restaurants, and there's also retail there, and it seems to be ever changing and ever growing. You've got some great new plans that have kind of probably been slowed down by all that's been going on for the last few months. But it's also you've also got the Rock Island Trail running right there, and I'm thinking one of the things that's come out of the COVID-19 thing is more biking. You see, I think nationally that's been the case. People wanting to get out safely with the kids or without the kids or whatever it is, and that's something they can do in the Heights.
Yeah, now that you mentioned it, I do want to say that you and I go back far enough to remember how long and hard people fought for the trail to come to fruition, and I remember some of the crazy arguments that were used against that trail, that it would foster vandalism and people doing bad things on the trail, and that has been an economic engine for Peoria Heights, but it's also really enhanced the quality of life, and the demographic on our trail, our stretch of the trail, is people from all walks of life using it, staying healthy, but it's really like a highway going through Peoria Heights, and
Right.
it's nice to see people getting off that
Pedestrian highway or a
Yeah.
bicycle highway, whatever.
Yeah, so we that's been a good addition for Peoria Heights, and people like Bruce Brown, who go way back, and Bill Rutherford, who helped get that trail established. A lot of thanks to those folks.
Do you remember? I'm failing now because I think when I was at the Journal-Star, I spent a brief period of time in the East Peoria office, which they no longer have, of course. This is 20 years ago. But the gentleman was an attorney, Burrier, I think it was
George Burrier, yeah.
George Burrier was a huge trail advocate.
Yes.
And I just remember talking to him, not just because the Journal Star office was located near his at the building they had, but because he was in the news, he was a representative. But we're talking about those pioneers, and you mentioned Bruce Brown and Rutherford. We should mention him too, because boy, I just remember him sort of looking at it as, when this is done, he had the foresight to know when it was done what a benefit it would be.
Well, and Bill's law office was in Peoria Heights, and he was somewhat of a mentor to me and an inspiration. And we all know that Bill started Wildlife Prairie and Forest Park Foundation and Forest Park Nature Center, and Bill was a catalyst in making sure that there wasn't a lot of development along Grandview Drive, so protect all that public land that we all can enjoy. And incidentally, just a side story that Kim Blickenstaff, who's come back from San Diego to invest a lot of money in Peoria Heights,
right,
did his homework in Bill's law office, and Bill was a mentor to him as well,
really?
and inspired Kim and encouraged Kim to go on to Loyola, and so.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, oh, well, Rutherford is yeah, we have to, you never get tired of hearing Rutherford stories. I mean, or the litany of things that he did in this area. I think I had the opportunity to sit in his office, gosh, it would have been in the 70s. And at this time we were doing some story in the Observer. But, which incidentally was, I don't know if it qualified as being in the Heights, but it was Junction City. Is that the Heights?
No, it's
No,
not, but
that's
a lot of
Peoria.
people think it is. But
Yeah.
they're a good neighbor of ours, and a lot
Right.
of we have a lot of support with
Yeah.
each other. But the Observer was a paper that was widely disseminated in Peoria Heights. And that was a
right.
good paper.
And I just remember that at the time. It was when I see the town hall in Junction City, I thought, yeah, downstairs is where we worked on that Observer. But Kelly Van Lanningham, who was a friend of ours who used to work at the Journal Star, would remember those days. Now we're kind of looking ahead here. What do you see beyond? And I know it's impossible to know where this road is taking us, but let's say that things don't get worse, that we move through a thing. When do you see sort of things? And I won't even say back to normal, but when do you see a sort of a relaxation? Do you see it in the fall, or do you think we might have to wait till 2021?
I think that's more of a question for the public health officials, and
Right.
again, there's differences of opinion there. Certainly, we've seen a certain part of the people want to get out. When the governor relaxed the restrictions with outdoor dining, there are a lot of people outside. Although I'm sure you and I both know a lot of people who could be older or at risk that are staying home or staying away from large crowds. So.
Right.
I think the one thing we know is that there's going to be a lot of unknowns, and we just don't know. The science is still out there.
Right.
So I would personally hope that things get back to normal towards the end of the year, and when vaccines come, we don't know that either. But probably people who are in business that are centered around large events are going to struggle for a while. I don't think we'll see real large events for a while.
And one of the things that obviously this whole COVID thing does is it controls the business flow, because you mentioned Kim Blickenstaff, the hotel project. Is that on hold?
No, it's not. As a matter of fact, the Heights, back to economic development at Tuesday's village board meeting, we have, the hotel went to ZBA, and it'll go to ZBA again this coming month. They're moving forward with their plans, but we have plans for a popcorn shop, medical marijuana dispensary. So there are things moving forward in the Heights. Chef Dustin Allen is doing a rooftop bar and restaurant at Edge. The lofts are moving forward. And one of the things the KDB group did mention to me is that even though COVID set them back a little bit, the numbers for the hotel have come in to their favor due to building materials and cost of labor going down a little bit.
Oh.
So they're encouraged by that. But yeah. So next month's Peoria Heights zoning board meeting, the hotel will be approved. I expect by the zoning board.
So things are moving on that. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I would have, and it's wrong to assume anything these days, because who knows? I mean, those people that choose this time to lay the groundwork, do their homework, maybe get things ready, will prosper when things get back moving again. I
We
guess
hope
that's
so.
when you talk to somebody who's not familiar with the Heights, somebody say outside the area, what's your elevator pitch on the Heights? Because obviously that comes from a lot of experience on your part. But what do you tell them if there was an enhancement to bring somebody in?
Well, I think the pitch would be different if I'm talking to someone who's looking at the Heights come raise their family, or if they're coming to
Good. Yeah.
start or expand their business.
Sure.
But I'd like to say that the Heights is a diverse community. We are a walkable community. I like to say that, in my opinion, we have one of the few bona fide downtowns in all of the region. And what I mean by that is that you will see people on our downtown area from morning to night. You'll see people walking, getting coffee, retail businesses thriving, restaurants thriving. We have a arts committee, and arts are in place. Music is in place. We have a fantastic park system.
Right.
And the trail, which we talked about, we have our own school, we have our own police department, we have our own fire department, we have our own we own our own water company. So we have lots of resources in place, and we like to think we're a community where you can come and we try and reduce the red tape. I meet with a lot of people. People simply just either email me or call, and we try to get those meetings set up quickly. We emphasize customer service. Both Chief Sutton and I like to call people back within 24 hours. So the street department, we pride ourselves in the way we take care of our streets and plow our streets. So that would be our pitch. We've got a great relationship with the school and the school president, the school board, and the school superintendent. We have our own library. I didn't mention that. So
Been in that library a number of times, yeah. Not lately, but that's the way that goes right now. That time will come. Yeah, the Heights has really seen great progress, and it's something that I think should give people hope when they start realizing that, hey, not all small towns or small areas or communities, whatever you want to call them, get pushed aside. It isn't all metropolitan Chicago and all that. You can have a small community that thrives, and the Heights is a good example of that.
yeah, we're going through a community-wide, which got delayed a little bit because of COVID, but we spent $100,000 to do a community-wide plan, which will help us not only plan for 5 years from now, but 10 and 20 years from now. And we have a company named Haas Levine that we're having a lot of public meetings and getting public input on what people want to see the community look like. And so that's getting back on schedule and back on track. We had a lot of breakout sessions from that. I would be remiss if I didn't mention, when you asked me about the Heights, take a step back. We have a business development district and we have a TIF districts, and we were pretty proud of the way those have worked. A lot of times TIF can be a bad word for a lot of people, and sometimes school districts and other governmental bodies don't like that. But we've been very successful, and one of the things I wanted to mention is that we use some of our BDD funds recently to provide a grant to help pay for rent and to help pay for mortgages for all of our businesses in the BDD, and we spent a lot of
What's
money.
the BDD?
Business Development District. So
Okay.
every business in that, it's a geographic area where TIF is mainly property tax driven and funded. BDD is driven by sales tax and funded by sales tax. So all of those businesses in that district actually collect an additional sales tax. So we had a very healthy fund, and the board, I applaud the board for making this decision to take that BDD money, and we had a one-page grant application, and some of the federal grants were somewhat cumbersome, the business owners had told
I
me.
heard this, yeah.
So we were turning things around within 48 hours where a person had a check in hand once we got the application, and they got up to $1,500 to help with either rent, and if they own the building or were buying the building, they got help with their mortgage.
Well, that's great. Well, those are all reasons why I think the Heights is where it is. You cut through the red tape and you get to what people need, which is results rather than just bureaucracy.
Well, we try to listen, and we've got an engaged community, and we talked about Hugh Higgins, but I could go on and on, and I'd be afraid to because start mentioning names, but good Chamber of Commerce that's active, and nothing against chains or chain restaurants. We've got Walgreens and CVS and O'Reilly's and Peoria Heights, and those are really good neighbors. But I think one of the strengths of Peoria Heights is that you go into any one of our shops, whether it's Alwyn's or Schooner's or any restaurant in Peoria Heights, you're most likely to encounter the owner. And there's a family running nearly every business in Peoria Heights.
That's
A
great.
family behind the scenes, husband and wife or entire family making things happen. And those folks love our community, and we're lucky to have them. And that's one of our secrets.
Well, there's a good spokesman for Peoria Heights, Mike Phalen. Mike, we're out of time, but hey, we want to stay in touch with you and see how this whole thing goes. Good luck on the march, and good luck in all that's coming up in the Heights.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for all you do. Good luck to you.
It's our pleasure. Well, we'll see you next time on Tarter Sauce.
PeoriaLife.com.